We have game 3 of the National League Division Series going down tonight at Citi Field. Aaron Nola versus Sean Manaea of the New York Mets. And game 2, we are now in an electric factory, NLDS, to start the playoffs for the Phillies. Welcome back into the Cherry Pinstripes podcast. We're going to break down game 1, game 2, talk about game 3, and there is a lot to talk about after those first 2 games of the season. Let's just get through game 1 first real fast because there's not as much to talk about, not because we lost. Game 2 was just madness. Kyle Schwarber started this game off with a moonshot home run, and I thought we were about to dog walk the Mets and snuff out that candle. No, despite Zach Wheeler being dominant this entire game, the bullpen immediately imploded to these miracle Mets as soon as they went in there in the 8th inning. We went to our big guys, Strahm, Orion Kerkering, Jeff Hoffman. It stung really bad. And by the way, why is like the 70th ranked umpire calling the first game of a playoff series? It was so bad. Socials were toxic, man. That the umpire was brutal in this game. That Jose Iglesias at bat, the first time the Mets had an opportunity. 2 fastballs, maybe 6 inches in off the plate. I totally understood why Mets fans were going nuts, but it was bad both ways. If we go back to the first inning, the reason I didn't really care about the calls to Iglesias, the first missed call in this game was a cutter down out of the zone to Trey Turner, and that messed him up for the rest of the night. He was chasing breaking balls down and away the whole game. The whole game. So the umpire really did impact this game, but the Mets, Miracle Met, they put it together as soon as we went to the bullpen. You've seen the confidence. Heard Jolly talking about this when Wheeler came out of the game. You've seen life go into that team, and that's why you need to have more than one run on the board when you go into the bullpen late in a playoff game. But win or lose, the Phillies bounced back in game 2, and they didn't bounce back right away, might I add. This was game of the year type stuff. And I said this at the end of game 1. I said it at the top of the stream with Joe's. Going into that second game, they ended up winning this game the exact way they needed to win this game. You don't want to see a bunch of arms getting used, but the Mets have just been winning miracle game after miracle game after miracle game. This game is so confident and momentum driven. We all know this. They truly, in my opinion, until game 2, I don't think they knew how to lose. They were just finding ways to win every game. Somebody else was stepping up every single game. They didn't know what it felt like. It's been a while since they lost one, especially a sweaty one like that. Not just lose a game, but to lose one where it's like emotions are up and down and up and down. They haven't lost one of those. The Phillies really needed to do that. And it was exciting. I'm happy they got it done. The big news going into game 2 was Alec Boehm getting benched for Edmundo Sosa. Right away, this did not work out. Big error from Edmundo Sosa. First time he got a ground ball at 30, threw it up the line. Jose Iglesias makes his way around the bases. Mets go up early in this game. Mark Vientos. Christopher Sanchez getting the home start over Aaron Nola because of the home stats. He looked great in this game, but Francisco Lindor leading off, second time through the lineup, had a good at-bat against Christopher Sanchez, worked a walk, whispered something in Vientos' ear, and then Vientos went yard on a changeup that just got way too much plate. But I got to credit Christopher Sanchez. After that at-bat, he went away from the changeup for about 15 pitches. It was all sinker slider for several at-bats, and he found it. And then after he found the sinker slider, he started incorporating the changeup back in again, and he started working his way through this lineup a second time, and he ended up contributing a really good game here for the Phils, kept them in it. And then when Luis Severino was trying to get through the 6th inning, we had the spark plug moment from Bryce Harper. That 2-run home run off of Luis Severino. Sevy was dominant in this game. The fastball was electric from the first inning on, but that 199-mile-an-hour fastball that got a little bit too much plate to the future Hall of Famer, spark plug, and then Nick Castellanos, first pitch, very next at-bat. They didn't even have a chance to sit down. Nick Castellanos ties the ball game. Drama with Nick Castellanos as well. The previous at-bat, the fans were booing him a little bit. Mid-at-bat, chasing that slider down in a way that he is known to chase at. They booed him a little bit. I will say, because I haven't heard anyone talk about this, I really think that the booing in that moment was not just that he swung over that pitch, but also the day before, he's the one who complained about the sun glares. And the fans didn't like that. Like, the fans were kind of getting on him a little bit the night before because of the sun glare comment. Philly fans don't like the excuses thing. Like, at all. like at all. But Nick, being Nick, of course, these freaking people. he mouths. Very next at bat, bang, in Nick Castellanos style. Nick Castellanos is so Philly, in my opinion. That's the best possible way to respond in Philly. And I don't like it either, man. I'm not the guy that would have been in that stadium booing. His kid's sitting in row one. It's tough. He wants to win as much as we do. But he answered the bell. No pun intended. Big home run from Nick Castellanos. But the biggest thing, that Bryce Harper home run. Bryson Stott's at bat after the Nick Castellanos home run. He struck out, but it was one of those long Bryson Stott at bats. Foul ball, foul ball, foul ball, foul ball, foul ball. Seeing pitches. He looked like the Bryson Stott we've gotten used to in 2022 and 2023. Not going to drive the ball over the ballpark consistently. He will go through streaks, but you're used to him having consistently good at-bats. This season, he hasn't been as consistent with his at-bats. He's had stretches where he's looked a little bit lost. There was an article that came out earlier in the season where Bryson Stott was tinkering with opening it up a little bit more, being okay with a little bit more swing and miss to try and get some more hard contact. That at-bat after the Bryce Harper home run, he looked like Bryson Stott again. And then in his next at-bat, what does he do? 2-run triple down the line to get the lead back after Brandon Nimmo goes Miracle Mets and gives them a 4-3 lead. So the Phillies get those 2 home runs, go 3-3. Brandon Nimmo hits a home run to give the Mets the lead back. And then when we get it back to Bryson Stott, he hits a 2-run triple to take the lead. The roller coaster's rolling at this point. I can't even keep up. I'm sure you've seen the clips. I was about blacked out on the couch in there with Joe's watching this baseball game. We're live on the Cherry Pinstripes YouTube, Talking Baseball YouTube channels, all postseason long, by the way. Come hang out. But this game was just an electric factory. And that Brandon Nimmo home run, by the way, we had some more drama in this baseball game. Brandon Nimmo on his way home chirping at Christopher Sanchez in the dugout. Kind of gets into it a little bit with JT Realmuto. I'm not going to sit here and act like Brandon Nimmo's the bad guy. I have no idea what was being said between these teams. And I'll be honest with you, Phils fans. The Phils got a couple guys in their dugout that you love to have, hate to play against. We do be barking. We're not the most innocent ball club in the world. So I don't know what that was all about, but these teams currently do not like each other. And I think that is great for baseball. It's great for baseball. So now we're sitting here. The Phillies have a 1-run lead back after the Bryson Stott triple. We go to Matt Strahm in the 9th because we had to use Carlos Estevez in the 8th. Again, using all of your high leverage relievers in game 1. You have to go to your closer in the 8th inning of this game right after Zach Wheeler. Or I'm sorry, I believe I forget who came into the game after Christopher Sanchez off the top of my house. But we had to go to Carlos Estevez in the 8th inning instead of the 9th, which led to us going back to Matt Strahm in the 9th again. Back-to-back days. Matt Strahm. Mark Vientos hits his second home run of the game. 2-run homer, ties it in the 9th. It was a 6-4 ball game in the 9th inning, and Matt Strahm gives up a 2-run homer. And it's back-to-back days where Matt Strahm gave up runs. But it's also back-to-back days where Matt Strahm was getting everyone in 2-strike counts. 0-2 counts, might I add. So many 0-2 counts. So what do we keep going to Strahm? I saw some radio chatter. Was listening to some radio chatter yesterday about Strahm, or potentially do we start seeing Jose Alvarado a little bit more in these situations? Alvarado was warming up at one point in game 2. Did not come into the ball game. Hasn't pitched a lot in the second half. He had that personal issue where he left, came back, hasn't seen the mound a lot, but someone we've leaned into in the past. This was our go-to reliever in the 2022 run. We put him out there against the big dogs of the Astros lineup in the World Series. So he's seen the high leverage postseason innings before. Do you go there? Personally, I think Rob Thompson's going to stick to what works. We're going to keep seeing Matt Strahm in these high leverage situations. And what you hope for is that these put away pitches just start working. Instead of you seeing the ground ball singles or the Mark Vientos homering on a pitch 3 inches up out of the zone, just find a way to put these guys away. You don't get into 0-2 counts consistently at the major league level by accident. Matt Strahm does a lot of things right. Just got to put these guys away. The Mets are just having insane at-bats. They do end up winning the game on the walk-off in the bottom half. Nick Castellanos, of course, lit the building on fire. Being the home team here was huge. Again, that's the kind of game you had to win. Now, the Mets, I'm not saying they won't bounce right back and keep this train rolling, but I do think that gut punch, suck the wind out of them, send them on their way back home feeling like that. They haven't felt like that in a while. They've been the ones doing that to everyone else. Now they're the ones that have to sit here like, damn, we should have won that one. We needed that one. We should have won that one. Now they're the ones sitting there like that. Not just sitting there thinking like that. They had to sit on it for 36 hours with the off day. And now you might have the pressure of fixing it in front of your home team because you've been red hot on the road for the last couple of weeks. Now you're coming back home. You got one of the most passionate fan bases in the league. They're going to be rowdy in Citi Field tonight. Rowdy. It's going to be loud. There's a little bit of pressure on this team to show up, bounce back, and keep this momentum rolling that they've put together. Phillies have applied a little bit of pressure here. And again, going back to the first game, I love that we're getting Aaron Nola in game 3. Now that it has played out the way that it is, we have our veteran on the mound going into game 3 against Sean Manaea tonight in this series. Sean Manaea, who we've seen before in the playoffs. In 2022, Sean Manaea came out of the bullpen for the San Diego Padres in game 3 of the 2022 NLCS. He pitched 1 1/3, gave up 5 runs. Phillies, they called on him in a long relief spot. It was the one game against the Padres where the offense just went nuts. So they have lit Manaea up before in the playoffs, but that's not Manaea's normal role either. He's usually a starter. It's a totally different pregame routine going into that one. Aaron Nola on the flip side against the Mets, he's pitched great, have lost a lot of games. 3-5 in his last 8 decisions against the Mets. I think the Phillies are 4-11 in their last 15 starts for Aaron Nola against the Mets. But Aaron Nola has 3 quality starts in his last 4. He's gone 7 and given up 1 or less in 2 of his last 3. So we're kind of DeGromming our guy against the Mets in a lot of ways. There's some 1-0, 2-1, 3-2 losses in here. He's not necessarily getting lit up. I would absolutely be concerned about our success rate against the Mets if Nola was getting shelled. But he has actually looked good against the Mets this year in particular. So we'll see if we can support our guy tonight, keep that momentum from game 2 going into game 3. You got to score runs in the playoffs. You can't expect to win a 1-0 game like you needed to in game 1. But here we are. A couple other things for you to pay attention to tonight going into game 3. Alec Bohm is going to be back in the lineup tonight. He did come in for Edmundo Sosa. We said that move did not really work out. Sosa made an error. He had some really bad at-bats. Also, might I add, struck out, did not look good. So Bohm comes back in that game, pinch hits, but he pops up twice on 3 pitches. 2 at-bats. He's seen 3 pitches. He popped up twice. So those at-bats weren't good. No, Bohm just hasn't seen the ball well. 2 for his last 27. Batted 170 over his last 30 games in the regular season. 699 OPS since the All-Star game. Just doesn't seem like he has much of a plan up there. Like he's just trying to touch the ball. It's like he has a 2-strike approach all the time. There's not much confidence in the swing. All it takes is 1, though. 1 barrel, suddenly you're rolling. He's going to be back in the lineup tonight. How does Alec Bohm respond to getting benched in game 2? And I also think that might have been a little bit. The whole daycare, Stott, Marsh, Bohm, Rojas, when any of those guys kind of get put on the hot seat or in this instance benched, I think it sends a message to all of them, especially when they're all not playing well, which at that time, Marsh hasn't really produced in this series. Stott didn't have a good game 1 and isn't coming off his best regular season. I think that maybe was a message to all of them. And we got a really good game from Bryson Stott. Marsh at least brings you the energy, plays a good outfield. So I'm looking to see the daycare, that and them in particular, the bottom of the order. You need the daycare to start producing like they did in game 2. If you get that, now you're a World Series team. You start getting that bottom of the order production from the daycare, this is going to be a really, really difficult lineup to get out of the playoffs. Cody Clemens needs more at-bats as well, has been pinch hitting. Maybe should have gone to him over Sosa in hindsight. Maybe. He's been so good, though, pinch hitting all year. He goes up there, he has professional at-bats. I look forward to the Kid Rakes tweets from Roger Clemens every time he comes into the game. I need that drafted tweet out, Mr. Roger. Need it. And again, Stromer Alvarado. We talked about it. I know the media has been bringing it up to Rob Thompson. Again, Alvarado did warm up in game 2. Didn't see him. We're going to see him. When do we see him? Is it a high leverage spot that we've been given the Strom? He pitched in both game 1, game 2, gave up runs. We will see. His bullpen usage is going to get chaotic. And by the way, speaking of daycare, shout out to Johan Rojas. Hasn't had a big moment yet. But if you're paying attention, he at least looks like he has an approach up there right now. Whereas in 2022 and 2023, my man was standing there and then playing center field. That's all he was doing. Now he's taking hacks. He's actually looks like he's trying to work counts. I get that. He had a big hit in game 2. Spark, we left him on the bases, but he had a hit in a leadoff spot in a playoff game. We're not talking about it because obviously we left him on the bases, but Johan Rojas could potentially be a spark plug for this team if he can get on a situation like that, and then it gets followed up by a Schwarber or a Turner moment. Keep your eyes on it. Our dog of the week, of course, is Bryce Harper. Woke the boys up. Electric. The crowd was going nuts, and they were begging for it. A gigantic helium balloon floating over Citizens Bank Park. No one was happy. Pop. Now we're rolling. We're right back. We are right back. Game 3 tonight, Phillies, Mets. Hopefully, we have some good stuff to talk about. Game 4, Game 5. We'll see you guys again on the next podcast. Make sure you come hang out, watch the watch parties. We'll be live tonight on the Talking Baseball channel. JM Baseball. We're going to be live on JM Baseball tonight in the main room. I believe Jolly's going to be live on Shea Station, but we'll be in the main room watching the Phillies game, geared up, ready to go. Subscribe down below. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We'll see you in the next one. Go Phils.